TikTok. Hey, welcome to the Art of Relationship show. Hopefully everybody's having a good week so far. It is Wednesday, right? 12 noon Eastern time here in Detroit. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Today, I'm going to maybe tick some people off, okay? I love to be direct at times, but hold on. I'm also, as people know, I'm very compassionate. I have a lot of empathy for people, and I can be direct. So this episode might tick you off about marriage. Does it equal love? And I'm going to put a little twist into that. Plus, we're going to be, of course, live with the relationship, marriage, dating, sex advice Q&A, right? You can throw your questions out there, so don't go anywhere. We're going to hit it live right now. Okay, after the intro, we're going to talk about marriage and does it equal love? And as people know, you can join in the live chat down below, okay? And throw out your questions out there. Anything I can do to help you with your relationships, dating life, marriage, or, you know, intimacy, sex life, anything I can do to help people out. And I talk, give an intro about me every live episode I do. I'm Greg Dudzinski. Excuse me. I'm a fully licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan, here in Metro Detroit area, actually 15 minutes from downtown Detroit. And I'm a relationship and sex specialist, okay? So a lot of experience. I love helping people out. And I want to try to save relationships and marriage. But we know not every relationship or marriage can be saved or should be saved, and that is up to each individual, each couple. It's not up to me, family, whatever, friends, race, creed, religions, not at all. That it's up to them to decide if a relationship or marriage should be saved. It's up to each individual and up to each couple. Of course, I want to bust my butt to help couples become more connected emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually, soulfully, whatever that means for the couple, okay? It's not up to me to determine how people should live. It's up to you, and it's up to each person in each couple, okay? So, going live below, you can join the chat down below. Throw your questions out there, and I mention this every episode. You can throw the questions out there. It doesn't have to relate to the topic at hand, okay? Excuse me. So, like I said, anything I can do, I'll bust my butt to help you out. And throw your questions out there, okay? So, want to talk about, oops, I forgot to start Instagram, okay? Hey, Instagram, if you're just starting now, I just went live. I'm sorry, I forgot to create, push a button for you to join the episode as too. So also share the episode, share the timeline on your platform, wherever you're listening to, on your page, platform, anything I can do where I can help people out, okay? So that's where I want people to be able to look at whatever go on. And I know a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of maybe immature young people that love to prank and spam and scam people, whatever. So, but throw your questions out below, okay? So, does marriage equal love, right? When people look at, they want to get married and they want it to be forever and ever and ever, unless they are a gold digger. Okay. Now they're, you know, man, woman that's a gold digger. They can't wait to get divorced, right? Because it's all about ching, about the money, right? So not about that, but I look at, you know, when I try to help relationships and I try to, you know, heal marriages of all kind, you know, after an affair, after somebody, some type of betrayal, a lot of arguing, fighting back and forth. Maybe there's an isolated abuse situation. People are feeling not loved, not respected. They're feeling, maybe not desired, not important, not a priority, or a combination of those things. So I try to heal them, and I try to be able to look at what is needed for each couple, each individual in that relationship to feel more connected to their partner, if possible, okay? So people get married, right? It's going to be forever and ever and ever. And the divorce rate is right around, it ebbs and flows for first marriages. Sadly, it is around the mid 40%, depending what type of research you're, viewing, what you're looking at, okay? So, of course, I would love to drop the divorce rate significantly, but I'm a realist that, like I said, not everybody is compatible. People evolve, people grow. You're not the same person when you're, say, 20, 25, if you get married, as you are when you're 40, 50 years old. It's how do you grow? How do you evolve together? And what does that look like, that you evolve as an individual, but at the same time, as a relationship, as the marriage situation. So now I'm going to talk about, and this comes up a lot, okay? I come up with people that are engaged. They're looking for a premarital counseling, or they've been dating for a while. One wants to get married. The other one is, hey, we love each other. Why does a piece of paper matter, right? And again, it's not up to me. A lot of people in this field, depending on, I'm throwing them out of the bus. There are some that are religious counselors. They're licensed, whatever, but they're biased according to their own religion. And they're saying, oh, religion says this, the Bible says that. You know what? You need to live your life. What is healthy for you, not according to somebody else, okay? And that's where I'm very, very adamant about what is best for each individual. It's not according to other people, okay? Of course, it's got to be consensual, not hurting yourself, not hurting other people. Not about that, okay? Excuse me. So that's where I want people to be able to look at and understand and decide, what does that even look like to you, right? What are your expectations? But when you get married and say you get divorced, right? And that's why I said, titled this episode about marriage equals love, but I didn't throw the but in there. If it's for love, then what happens to that love? What destroys that love? And what goes sideways, right? But not only that, when we look at, all about you love somebody so much, going to be with them forever, and then the marriage or relationship doesn't work out, and then it goes sideways. All of a sudden, that person you love or used to love, right? Now you hate them, and now it's a war, right? Now it's like, I'm going to screw you over with the courts. I'm going to screw you over. And that's where I look at the difference between love and living together forever versus getting married and, loving each other, hopefully, right, forever. What is the difference? And a lot of people, they look at a sense of safety, a sense of security. And when we look at this, and this is the part where I'm going to maybe tick a lot of people off and a lot of maybe shake up the reality a little bit, okay? When marriages end, the courts, let's face it, right? They hold men accountable. They hold us accountable. If you're in a heterosexual relationship, same-sex relationship, that is going to be different, right? But in a heterosexual relationship, when something goes on and you're in a court, the court usually holds, most of the time, not always, but a high percentage of the time, they hold the men accountable. They don't hold the women accountable. And that's why I said they're going to tick a lot of women off. They're going to maybe tick men off too, but the courts hold men accountable. Child support, which, men need to help take care of our kids. Absolutely. But then it comes to spousal support. And if you get married and 50% say you made most of the money and 50% of that 401ks go to the spouse, the woman, right? But what is the woman being held accountable for? And that's why I said I'm going to tick a lot of people. Women, I love you to death, big time. But I'm being a realist to look at when a court of law, and that's why I said, marriage equals love. However, and, no matter what, we can look at the marriage ends, the court of law is going to hold men accountable financially, okay? And like I said, we need to help take care of our kids, whatever. And we can look at, okay, who's spending the most money taking care of their kids. There's some men that don't pay child support, shame on them. But there are men that don't pay child support, but they're always there financially to help their kids, okay? So every situation is different. But in the court of law, when you're looking at spousal support and all this stuff, and a lot of women will look at, I deserve that, I'm entitled to that. But hold on. This is where I get, the man, woman wants a divorce, but they're still going to entitled to child support, whatever. That's what I mean about the court of laws holding the man accountable regardless, okay? However, the court of laws do not hold the women accountable, right? So say the man was a good dude, whatever, loving, caring, never cheated, whatever, and the woman could cheat, okay? The woman could be mean to the husband all the time, doesn't love them, doesn't desire, stops desiring the man, doesn't treat him well, is disrespectful, rude, obnoxious. But the court, how do they hold the women accountable that do that? They don't. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes into marriage. What are the benefits and what does marriage mean to you? And I've done episodes before on prenup agreements in those type of situations, right? And a lot of times, even the courts, depending what state you are, they can look at prenups depending on the state, the county, the judge. They're supposed to honor those, but they may ignore those in favor of one partner or the other, right? And typically that is the female, right? In heterosexual relationships. And I said, I love women. I love you. I work with a lot. And I said, this is going to tick you off. But it comes down to a point where a lot of women are looking at men that don't want to get remarried or get married at all. And there's some women in that situation. Bravo. Absolutely, right? And again, this is a matter of choice. And that's what I'm looking at, not to ruin or discourage marriage, but I want people to look at the reality and what do you do to guard against when things go sideways? How do you do it to show each other you love each other? And what are you doing to understand in what is happening to each other, okay? So that's where I want people to understand about marriage and what does marriage actually mean to you and what does it mean to your significant other, right? When one person, they look at, married, I'm going to get married, and I'm going to ask, great, terrific. How does that marriage, how is it supposed to be? Well, I want a marriage like my parents. I'm like, okay, great. Now, what if your parents' marriage isn't all that great? You think it is, but nobody knows behind closed doors, right? Most of the time, right? And there's people that are, married with, someone might have drug issues, alcohol challenges. They might be abusive, right? And that is out and open in those situations. So that's where I tell people, I want you to be able to learn and live and, be happy. I'm all about that, right? Does that mean to be married, right? And a lot of people, and there's a lot of women, they get married and they keep their last name. Great, awesome. I'm all for independent women. I'm all about that, okay? This is where I look at people to understand, to look at, keep your last name. Okay, great. So marriage is what? A lot of people will look at, marriage gives me a sense of safety, a sense of, more of a guarantee. And I'm like, it's sad, but the divorce rate is for first marriages, right? Second marriages, it's higher. I want to reduce that, absolutely. But the reality is it a myth? And is it just a false sense of security that people give them? So, oh, we're married now. Now I don't have to love my partner anymore because if we get divorced, I get spousal support. I get child support. I get 50%. And I'm like, you love somebody, but do you love somebody for what you're getting? We all do, right? Let's face it. We're all in a relationship or marriage. And I said this before, that, we're getting something out of it. That's why we're in a relationship, right? It's to feel loved. If it's for, be taken care of financially, if it's to have kids, to get mom, grandma off your butt, whoever raised you, to be able to look at what is going on, okay? So that's where I look at those situations and being able to understand what does that look like, and people talk about the sanctity of marriage. Like I said, I'm all for marriage if it's healthy, absolutely. And I want to help trying to preserve that and trying to have people have a healthy, happy, marriage in a realistic form. And what that means to you. Is everything perfect? No. You can have a great relationship. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. So when you look at the realities of marriage, what does it mean to you? And, people talk about prenups, right? And you talk about, well, that means you're already setting yourself up if things go sideways. No, you're not, right? It's about protecting people, both people maybe, to look at what is going on and what is fair when it comes into, the financial aspects, right? And, is it fair that someone, pays all the bills and then someone else is entitled to their 401k if they have, I don't have one, but their 401k entitled to spousal support and they're the ones paying everything. So like I said at the very beginning, it's going to tick a lot of people off. I'm a realist. The courts hold men accountable a lot more than they do women. And women, they don't hold them accountable that often if they treat their man poorly, right? If they're mean to him, disrespectful, if they cheat on the guy, they still are entitled to all this stuff. So that's where you're looking at the reality in the legal system of, what is the benefit for people getting married? I want you to look at that, okay? Sharing the same last name, having the kids, we all have the same last name, great. But I also mentioned there's a lot of independent women, and I said that. I'm all for independent women that keep their last name, which is great to me. For a lot of men that don't like that, it's ego and pride with them, let's be honest. Oh, it's tradition. Tradition, do you have premarital sex, right? Well, is that tradition? Is it? I'm all for premarital sex, believe me. So when you look at this, a lot of people have a confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance, almost the same thing, right? Where they try to pick and choose what works for them. And with the legal system the way it is, in Michigan, whatever, Michigan's a no-fault divorce state, and other states I'm not that familiar with, to be honest with you. If there's a fault divorce, if there is no fault. I know some states have no fault. Some people, reasons behind it, whatever. But then you look at the situation, what is going on, if there is, domestic violence, if there's, abuse, that type of situation. And it's one of those things, does it turn into a civil aspect, which, divorce is, in those type of situations. But you got to be open and honest about why do you want to get married. And I'm all for love. I'm all about that, right? Some people are, the lady, girlfriend, whatever, gets pregnant, they decide to get married. Great, whatever. I want them happy, okay? I don't want people feeling like they have to get married. And we talk about the society as a whole, and we can get into America, United States, how messed up it is in certain elements. But it's also looking at, what is dedication, what is loyalty to make that relationship stronger and make that marriage stronger and happy, right? And a lot of people might look at it and they undercut, they stop doing what they used to do when they started dating, when they started living together, when they first got married, right? So if you don't have to worry about divorce or breaking up, whatever, what are you doing to make sure that doesn't happen without selling yourself out? And there are, like I said earlier, there are situations, people heard this, people, we just grew apart, right? And there's a lot of examples. One person might become, they were, atheists, and then one 20 years later, 10 years later became religious, a devout religious person. And the other one's like, whoa, and it just destroys the relationship, right? We talked about, one person could cheat, have an affair. There's a lot of situations that a lot of people might grow, change, evolve, mental health issues, right? So what do you do to try to make sure that you keep showing your person that you love them? You still desire them. You don't take them for granted. You show them that they are the priority. You show them to understand what is going on. You show them what is happening in the relationship, because if it's a rinse and repeat and you wonder, 1 year, 20 years later, why your partner wants to be done, and do you talk about it? Are you open about it? And there are some times where a lot of people, they think everything's great. And then that other situation, their partner wants a divorce, and they're floored. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Well, did that partner talk to you about it? Did they bring up issues? Talk to you, and did you ignore them all those years, right? Thinking, oh, it's no big deal, but it's a big deal to your partner. And then the only thing that changes is their tolerance ends and they want out. Or there's certain situations where people have felt a certain way for 10 years, 20 years, whatever, and they never tell their partner. That's shame. It's shameful. It's sad, because they don't want to hurt their partner's feelings. They don't want to piss them off, cause her an argument, that type of situation, right? And I get that. But that's where I'm looking at, so you don't have to worry about divorce, and things don't build and they don't ramp up. They don't build resentment when it comes down to when one person wants a divorce and the other one doesn't, right? And I said, there's times we evolve, and unfortunately, it's evolving apart, not together. And that's where I look at what is needed to maintain a relationship, so you don't have to worry about divorce. You don't have to worry about breaking up if you decide to live together forever and ever, right? And this is where I look at, the situation, and I respect people, religious beliefs, whatever I tell people know I'm not religious. So I respect people's beliefs, but I'm also about people looking at the holistic view and not picking and choosing what works for them. They might pick this Bible verse or Quran verse, whatever, but then they're ignoring another one. You get me? And that's when I talked about the confirmation bias, the, cognitive dissonance, those type of situations that we try to, it's all what I believe, and I want you to agree with that, okay? Doesn't work that way. So that's where I want people to understand and look at what is happening, what is going on, so you don't have to get divorced. And I get it, right? I'm going to touch on where a lot of people will look at, you know what, we have kids, and this, situation, oh, we need to understand we have kids and all the kids are a priority, right? It's all about the kids. And I tell people that know me, I'm controversial, all right? And I'm like, why does it always have to be about the kids? I get it. They're infants. They can't change diapers. They need to be fed. I'm all about that. As some people don't know, I have a lot of experience working with, or used to work with, I should say, with severe trauma in kids, teens, those type of situations. Hey, D-Rock, hey, what's going on? I appreciate it. T-Converse, what's happening? So throw your questions, throw your comments down below, people. And I want to help. Any questions you have. And that's where I look at, I'm not trying to discourage marriage at all, but I want people to look at the realities of it. And the way the court systems are, they favor the men. They hold the men accountable for getting a divorce, regardless if their lady was ratchety. Their lady was mean, disrespectful. All of a sudden, they ignored. They could care less about the man. They stopped loving the man, stopped desiring the man. They stopped showing him respect because, oh, I got the kids I wanted and you pay all the bills, so forget about you. And then, you know what? How do the courts hold those women accountable? They don't. Not at all. So that's where you look at a lot of situations. You look at, why do you want to get married? Who does marriage benefit? And how do you set it up to where that marriage can be successful, right? What do you do? What do you do to keep showing your partner, keep showing one another that you're not taking them for granted? You are not forgetting about them. You are still showing that they're a priority, even if you have kids. Life happens. I get that. Kids, chronic illnesses, right? People fighting through cancer, fibromyalgia, lupus, chronic diseases that are not easy, and it's tough. And, it's not going to be 50-50 all the time, right? No. But, ebb and flow. And what do you want to get out of a marriage? But it's also about the discipline. It's also about, loyalty to a point, right? I don't want people, and I have people that still believe this. They're dating somebody. They've been dating someone for a year, 2 years. They've been married. We've never had an argument, and all of a sudden they have one argument, one debate, and that person believes, oh, we're not made for each other. We got in an argument. And I'm like, what? That's normal. That's happens, right? I don't want it to happen, no, but there's some people that believe if there's a disagreement or an argument in a relationship or a marriage, they're done. This ain't working. This is not healthy. And where did you learn this? And a lot of people, they don't. They didn't have maybe role models. They didn't have, or maybe they, maybe had parents and they never saw them disagree with each other, right? Like I said, you don't know what happens 24/7. Maybe they disagree, but the kids never saw it. They never heard it. So they assume, oh, a good marriage is, if we have a disagreement, that means, we have a horrible relationship. Not at all. So that's where I teach people to be more open and to be realistic about marriage and relationships, but also realistic. What do you do to make sure it doesn't lead to divorce or a breakup, right? And we can't control the other person, not at all. The only thing we can do is, what can I do that works, that I keep doing to show my partner I love her, right? I desire her. I respect her. I don't take her for granted. Or women, so I'm not a woman, but that you're a man too. And like I said, heterosexual relationships, but this isn't any type of relationship, okay? This is same-sex relationships too. Doesn't matter. This is looking at, what do you do to be cognizant, to be intentional? And a lot of people know I have, I don't know if people can see it. There it is. Love intentionally tattooed on my arm, and stop hate on the other arm. When I talk about, a lot of people need to be intentional about keeping this stuff in place so divorce don't happen. Now, that's where I want people to understand and look at the reality. Who benefits from a divorce, right? It wreaks havoc. It destroys. Insecurities. It rips, I don't want that. But I'm also a realist to look at, do you want your person to be with you if they're miserable? I get that, right? Some people, I've had legitimate people, I don't care if they're miserable, Greg, as long as he doesn't leave me. As long as she doesn't leave me, doesn't matter if she's unhappy or miserable. And I'm like, that's selfish. Plain and simple, it's selfish, okay? Now, but I want to look at, do you even care? Are you going to work at it and be disciplined? Are you going to be intentional so your partner is not miserable, right? Everybody talks about, it's not our job to make the other person happy. I agree with that fully, right? Like I said, I've been licensed. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. And there's truth to that. However, in a relationship, in a marriage, this is where I'm going to, but, right? It is your job to make sure, I don't want to use the word job, duty maybe? It is your duty to make sure your partner feels respected, that your partner feels loved, that they feel like they're a priority, that they feel like they're appreciated. That is your job. That is your role, your duty. Because when that stops, then the shit will hit the fan, right? Then you're wondering why the distance is there, why the intimacy, the sex life goes down the toilet, right? Because that person, and it doesn't matter if it's a woman, man, whatever, that person doesn't feel appreciated. They don't feel loved. They don't feel desired. However, instead of the anger, oh, you don't love me, and it just rips and roars, right? Speak from the hurt. I've said this on a lot of episodes, okay? That's where I want people to understand and speak from the hurt and the pain. Hey, what's going on? I feel like you don't love me anymore. You don't desire me anymore. But then we have to listen. Hey, what do you need? And not when we hear stuff, our person's truth or perception of their truth. Oh, that's crazy. I do that. Now right there, what happens, right? It creates a disconnect. It creates an issue to where your partner, why am I even saying anything? Because it's going to create defensiveness. It's going to turn into an argument, a debate. Going to tell me I'm wrong. I shouldn't feel that way. Our intent could be to show our person we love them, respect them, desire them, right? Because I'm doing this, I'm doing that. We need to do what works. What works for your partner. And please, people, you need to understand, if you got married 20 years old, 19, 25, maybe people get married for the first time 40. Doesn't matter, okay? We're going to evolve and grow, but I want it together, okay? So what might work when you were 20, 25, or even 40, 50, might not work for you any longer, right? You get me? And you have people that say, they couldn't wait to retire together, and the kids are out of the house, and one of them, the man or dad, mom, whatever, all of a sudden they start feeling lonely. They look at each other like, who are you? And because they don't know each other. Remember, all the attention went to the kids. That's what we're supposed to do. But then you forgot about the marriage. You forgot about the relationship. So why would that person want to be there? Well, you're not loyal. We're supposed to be married till death do us part. My question is, why? If you're being abused, if you don't feel loved, right? You don't feel respected. You don't feel even cared about. Why would you be in that situation? Because society tells you to, religions tell you to. You get me? Like I said, that's where I piss a lot of people off. I respect people's beliefs. I respect that. I don't want divorces. I want healthy marriages, healthy relationships, okay? But then, kids are out of the house, and then the other person feels like they never were a priority. You didn't care about me unless I paid the bills. You didn't care about me at all unless I cooked dinner, took care of the kids, right? Now what? Or the kids are gone. They have a big hole in their heart, right? Empty nest syndrome. Kids are off, they're on their own. And, retiring together, living life, doing this, maybe traveling if that's what you wanted to do together, right? And now, that's what we're going to do. We can't wait. Kids are out of the house. We're empty nesters. We're retired, whatever. Now we're going to do this. And the other one says, I changed my mind. I don't want to do that because we have grandkids now. And now the grandkids become the surrogate for the kids that grew up and moved out of the house. You get me? That's why I said about now we've been together, all these plans, and now you're supposed to be okay with me doing that. And you're like, well, our agreement was this. Well, that doesn't matter. And that's when I said, a lot of times the situation where the courts, they hold men accountable financially. They don't ever hold women accountable in most cases. There are some. I don't want to discredit that, but it's rare. Okay? So that's where a lot of people look at, what is the benefit of marriage? Why do you want to get married? And this goes societal aspects, maybe religious, maybe, according to your family, how you were raised, culture, society. We can look at all over the place, right? What is the meaning of marriage to you? And it's not a right or wrong, but it's also looking at, a lot of people look at, it's a marriage contract. They look at that, right? But yeah, if it ends, it's also a contract that, right, the courts favor one gender over the other. And that's where I'm a realist. And that's where I want people to understand and get that and get rid of the confirmation bias. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. It's not fair. I want things fair. I would always want that. But then when you go through a divorce situation, how many people, they turn evil, right? I'm going to screw you. I'm going to take everything you have. You ain't getting nothing. It's that back and forth, right? And that's what I mean. It's ironic how two people used to love each other so much that ends. I get it. I understand why it ends. I want to try to prevent that and try to help people so they don't end. Not only that, so people can end up being happy. Not perfect, but be happy. They can be, they still feel loved. They still feel important. They still feel cherished by one another. So divorce doesn't occur, okay? But that's where I look at. Life is tough. People know this. Clients know this about me. People, friends know I'm a realist, okay? And I'm about real word, the kids, running here, running there. It's hard, but you need to make the relationship or marriage a priority, right? And it's hard when, people are chasing career aspirations, right? Maybe advancing in careers, maybe want to change careers, maybe want to start their own business. It's hard. But you also have to look at, it's not going to be 50-50 all the time, but you still need to touch in with each other. You still need to make that person feel important, cherished, appreciated, not taken for granted, not at all, okay? So keep working on those things, okay? Look at those, and those people that are looking at getting married, getting engaged, awesome, congrats, okay? I want you to look at and think of what the meaning of marriage is for you, what it represents. Does it mean you love each other more if you married versus that you live together? To me, professionally and personally, no, it doesn't. There's some people that believe that. No. The sense of security is a false sense of security when you get married, right? And some people, let's face it, we're talking about which one does it favor more, but you have to do a realistic look at that, and some people won't because of their own entitlement, because of their own, like I said, confirmation biased about me, and they're not looking at the other person. So keep plugging away. Keep showing each other you cherish each other, you respect one another, that you love each other. Stop the name calling, stop the degrading, the belittling. You get me? Because that will break safety. It'll totally create a sense of distance in your relationship or marriage. That needs to stop, okay? So check out my website, theartofrelationships.org, people. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I know lunch hour might not get as many questions as I usually do doing 8 o'clock at night. So I'm doing a test, doing it at noon instead of 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, the Art of Relationship show. Mainly, I'm going to be honest, because I'm dead tired, usually 8 o'clock at night. But I want to do what's best for the viewers, for the listeners. That's why I'm here. I want to answer your questions. I want to help people out. That's my passion, okay? So theartofrelationships.org is my website. Make sure you follow, like, if you like. Don't have to, I guess. At LoveGuruGreg on every social media platform. And peace and love to everybody out there. Everybody take care. Have a good day. And keep love going around.